Hello, and welcome to Windy Wednesday, live with Adrenajen, where I talk about all things wind, weather, and my favorite sport of snow kiting. So welcome, and today we are talking about anchoring the kite. So let's talk about anchoring the kite. What is an anchor and what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about some way of anchoring our kite down, making sure it doesn't blow away. So whether that's a snow, or maybe we're going to use a shovel, I'm going to show you all the different methods of anchoring your kite so that it doesn't blow away. In my 20 years of snow kiting, I have had to chase down many a kite and skate as fast as I can with my skis on, or try running in the snow and face planting. It is not fun when your kite starts to blow away. So let me give you a few tips today on how to anchor your kite on different snow surfaces and in different wind conditions. So for those of you who don't know me, good day, mate. My name is Jenny Milton, aka Adrenajen. I've been snow kiting for over 20 years and have a huge passion for teaching other peoples to fly kites on both water and snow. I'm an IKO and KA certified kite instructor, also a backcountry guide. I've been a ski instructor in the past. I'm a super nerdy gear tech, best friends with the wind, and a lover of sexy snowstorms. Yeah, love an extreme weather event, that's for sure. So today we're talking about anchoring the kites, and I thought I would give you guys a full screen view. So I'm going to share my screen now with you so that I can present. And I'm going to give you the full screen view. Excellent. So I hope you guys can see that. We're talking about anchors. So we're talking about shovels. We're talking about some way of holding your kite down. So if you're on ice, you might want an ice screw. Maybe you'll throw a backpack on it. Maybe if you're lucky enough to go out with a snow machine, you might want to anchor your kite to that, or a fence post. Just some way of stopping our kite from blowing away, right? So when we're trying to decide what sort of anchor we're going to use, we need to think about the different wind speeds. You know, we can use different anchors in light wind because the kite's less likely to blow away. Whereas if it's super windy, we're going to need, a much better way of anchoring the kite. We want to think about the snow surface. Is it powder? Is it, what's the density? Is it going to be hard pack? Are we on a frozen lake and so it's ice underneath? We need to think about all of these things in order to make that decision. So let me give you a quick do's and don'ts list. Do's, put snow on your kite. Fantastic. If it's powder snow, maybe that's not going to be enough weight. And so I'll show you some other ways of anchoring your kite. Yes, put a bridle over a shovel. That's a fantastic way. Using an ice screw in the ice and then using a carabiner and a leash is a fantastic way of anchoring the kite. What I'm not a big fan of, but I see a lot of people doing this, so it's up to you, but not a big fan of putting skis on your kite or a snowboard on your kite. It tends to be something that comes from kiteboarding because we'll put our twin tip board or our surfboard on it. But what's the difference? We have sharp metal edges on our skis and snowboard, and I have seen many kites get damaged. I'll see the fabric on the leading edge get ripped. I'll see the canopy fabric get ripped on the edges when it starts flapping around. So I'm not a big fan of that. Backpacks, question mark. You might have a buckle, a waist strap buckle that had been put on the ground in the car park, and so it was sharp and that could damage your kite. You might have an ice axe in the side of your backpack. You don't want to be just throwing that on your kite. So it's not a great habit to get into. So let me share some of my habits that I do. So if you've got heavy snow, fantastic. That's easy, but it's great to have a shovel in order to shovel that heavy snow onto your kite. You want to have enough snow on there so that it holds the kite down. But if you're self-launching, you want to make sure maybe that you pull a little bit of that off before you take the bar out to the edge of the window to do your launch. I'm a huge fan of putting the bridle over the shovel, and there's a close-up. I'll show you some more photos in a second, but putting that shovel in the ground, if you've got a great snow surface for that, and then putting that bridle over it. I like to use the bridle that is closest to the center of the kite, rather than the one closest to the wingtip, or the kite will be flapping around. But that's a fantastic method that I use a lot, especially in high wind. You can see me there leaning into the wind. That day was about 30, 35 knots. So it was super important that we anchored our kites so they didn't blow away. You can see I've chosen to use my shovel. It was pretty hard packed snow also, but a good shovel like that you're going to have in your backcountry, you know, avalanche pack. That's perfect for, you know, digging to throw snow on your kite and also sticking into the ground. I put the picture of the shovel there on an angle like that on purpose to show you of how I love to put it in on that ankle and really jam it in. Sometimes use my ski boots to push it in deep in order to get that good hold, so that, you know, if the wind catches the kite, it's not just going to pull that shovel straight out of the snow. I like to do a double anchor. So here's a good example of that. I've put snow on my kite first, and then I've put the shovel in there to hold the kite while I walk the lines or I'm dealing with other stuff. Having a double anchor is double as safe, right? Also, I like this too, because then I can pull the shovel out and put it in my backpack, and then there's still snow on the kite, so it's not going to blow away. I can put the shovel back in my backpack and then go and launch my kite, and the snow will fly off. So that double anchor is just while I'm setting up, and not necessarily always keeping an eye on my kite. This is one you may not know. Always want to throw in something that you may not have seen before. So this is the bridle V anchor. And when somebody taught me this one, I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. You can use your ski boots or snowboard boots to kind of shuffle in the snow and make a V, and then grab that middle bridle like we were doing with the shovel and pull it over the snow. Now, this is not going to work in all snow conditions. If it was powder, that would just slip right off. But if you've got a firm, you know, dense snow or a wind crust on top or something like that, this is a super effective method that I use quite a lot if I don't want to pull my shovel out of my backpack, for instance. Or I might have lent my shovel to somebody else because they didn't have one with them. The other thing we want to do if you're using a foil kite is to lay snow along the edge of that kite. I recommend using a shovel to shovel that snow onto the kite. That's going to save your gloves from getting wet. I've done it myself, using your hands to sort of, you know, you don't want to get your shovel and you use your hands to push snow onto the kite. Your gloves get wet and then you regret it the whole session because your favorite gloves are now soaking wet and your hands are getting cold. So use a shovel. But, you know, when we're talking about that shovel, I recommend not actually letting the shovel touch the fabric of your kite, because quite often our shovel has a very rough edge on it. And that can also damage the kite. So be careful with that one. So why do we anchor our kite? Well, we anchor our kite to be lunch break ready. We can anchor it and then go and enjoy our lunch, take a pee, take some photos, do whatever we do, and we don't have to worry about our kite blowing away. Okay, so anchor it to be lunch break ready. Snow angel ready. Let's play with our friends. Now we can see in this picture, we can see a few shovels. I can see a bridle over a ski. There's a few different methods of anchoring our kite there, but it was very, very light wind that day. That's why we were having fun playing snow angels instead of being out there snow kiting. But this, as I said, in light wind, maybe your kite isn't going to blow away, but I tend to say, hey, get into the habit of anchoring it every time, because then you won't forget when it is necessary. Or what if the wind suddenly picked up, or you got an unexpected gust comes in. You want to make sure your kite is not going to blow away, especially if you're using an inflatable kite, because you'll find those things tend to just slide on the snow. When I'm on the beach, you know, we put sand on our kites, it's heavy, there's friction, so they don't tend to slide. But if you've never used an inflatable kite on snow before, you're going to learn quickly that that thing can just slide away very, very quickly. I'd like to show you my best anchor ever was when I went out on a snow plane to the Harding ice field, and Jim, who was the pilot of the plane, was also a kiter. So he actually tied a leash to the back of his plane, and we were allowed to use that for our self-launching and landing techniques. You know, we can use some of the anchors if they're, you know, in the snow, hard, as kind of like a dead man anchor for self-launching and landing. But most of the time, I'm going to recommend learning some good self-launching and landing techniques without using the anchors. So I invite you or challenge you to learn some fantastic self-launching and landing techniques. So that's the last slide in my little presentation today, and I would like to just come back to you, and thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for supporting my Windy Wednesday live trainings with you guys. I hope you're enjoying all the tips that I'm giving you for snow kiting. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and my YouTube channel if you'd like some more tips for snow kiting. Please message me if you've got any questions, or comment below in my Facebook post if you'd like a message answered. You've got some extra questions. But thanks for watching today. I will see you next Windy Wednesday. See you there.